So we've now reached the end of September, so it's time to do something a little bit new with the reviews on this channel. What I've decided to do is, rather than review every single film that I see, because I see so many, and also there are some that frankly I just don't have enough to say about, I thought it'd be a good idea to, at the end of the month, do a little wrap-up review where I talk about every film that I saw briefly and just give you a quick little summary review of what I thought about each of them, and then the films that I actually want to talk about and have a lot more to say about, then I can do my full reviews on them, which is why you've seen reviews this month on things like Gran Turismo, Blue Beetle, and The Creator. So all the other films that I've seen this month are going to be in this, and this is what I plan to do every single month. So at the end of the month I will go through and review every single film that I've seen, just to give you guys an idea and keep you updated. So I've got my Letterboxd opened on my left here, just to go through each and every film that I've seen, and let's just get going. So I started off the month with Cobweb. Now this is a film that I think was shot a long time ago, and you can sort of tell, as this is a very small location, small set movie, and this is a horror film, and I have to say that Cobweb it's one of those things where every single year there seems to be a horror film that kind of creeps up and surprises me. Last year it was Zach Cregger's Barbarian, and this movie is the closest thing this year we've had to Barbarian, in the sense that it's just a surprisingly good horror movie that doesn't actually rely on supernatural horror in order to get its scares out of you. And I really like that, because supernatural horror for me becomes a bit tiring and a bit boring, because I feel like we've seen so much of it, and it's always the same stuff again and again and again. I'll come back to this for another movie later on in this video, but Cobweb is one of those films that definitely takes a more realistic approach in regards to its horror, even though the thing that is actually within it is not really realistic at all. The fact that it's a real thing and not a supernatural entity, I think, goes a long way in kind of helping this movie. Also, this film delivers a fantastic performance from Anthony Starr, who you guys know I love Anthony Starr from Banshee and The Boys, of course. Just one of my favourite actors, and he just delivers a great performance in this, so kind of psychotic and deranged, but very entertaining and very Anthony Starr. So yeah, Cobweb, it's a really good film actually. It genuinely surprised me, because the trailers didn't really do that much for me. I thought, yeah, this looks okay, I'll mainly see it for Anthony Starr, but it actually turned out to be a really good horror film, and again, I think this is probably the closest thing we've had to Barbarian, so if you enjoyed Barbarian last year, I would definitely check this out. It kind of has similar vibes. Then I saw My Big Fat Greek Wedding 3. Yeah, this is kind of the film that made me kind of get the idea for this video, because I mean, I've not seen the other two. I don't even know why I really went to see it. I mean, I know my girlfriend wanted to see it, so that's the main reason we went. But I've never seen the other two, and quite frankly, I just had nothing to say about it. It's not great. It's not particularly funny. It's just a film. It's just there, I guess. I mean, if you like the other two, maybe you'll like this one. I don't know. I don't know. It's My Big Fat Greek Wedding 3, and that's all I have to say. The next film I saw was The Nun 2, which was just bad. Yeah, as I said when talking about Cobweb, you know, I said that these supernatural horror films that we get sometimes can just get a bit boring and repetitive. The Nun 2 is kind of the complete culmination of that. Just a very generic, kind of boring horror movie that I really had no interest in, so much so that when me and my girlfriend were watching this in the cinema, all I was really doing was just leaning over to her and just saying nun puns throughout it, because it was the only way I could keep myself entertained while watching this film. It just was not entertaining in the slightest. All the scares, minus like one or two jumpy ones, were just awful. Story really had no interest for me personally, up until the very last, I'd say 10 seconds of the film, where we got a fantastic post-credit scene with the return of Patrick Wilson and Vera Farmiga, tying it back into the original Conjuring films, which, you know, was when the franchise was good. And I just love Patrick Wilson, so seeing him on the screen was great. But beyond that, this movie really did nothing for me. I gave it 1 star on Letterboxd because I just thought it was awful. Really not good, but I also wasn't expecting it to be good, so there is that, I suppose. And then I saw A Haunting in Venice. A lot of horror movies this month, which is weird because we're not actually because we're now only just getting to October now. A Haunting in Venice was actually surprisingly good, I must say. I have seen the first 2 of the Branagh Poirot films, and they just they weren't great. I think that Orient Express was it had potential, had a good cast, but ultimately I think that with the murder mysteries, you know, you've got to have a good payoff, and for me the payoff was not good. I hated it. It ruined the whole movie for me. And then Death on the Nile, I like Death on the Nile a little bit more, but obviously that movie is just a bit of a meme, so it's kind of difficult to go back to these days. But Haunting in Venice is like by far, without a doubt, the best of the three. I think Branagh once again does a great job directing. He's always great, and he also delivers a great performance as Poirot. I actually think he's probably the best in this one, purely for the fact that this is the character having to deal with something he's not had to deal with before, and he's kind of questioning his own sanity throughout it, which I think was entertaining. I think that he does a great job kind of delivering all that. But also the film looks gorgeous, like it's shot really well. I was surprised actually at how good the movie actually looked. The plot itself was kind of interesting. There was a lot of striking imagery throughout. The only thing I will say is that the pacing is a little bit off, and it's still not like a great top tier murder mystery. Like, this is still nothing close to the level of what like Rian Johnson's been doing with the Knives Out films. But as far as these Poirot Branagh films go, this is by far the best of the three, and I think that it just delivered something that was actually kind of entertaining. I was actually surprised by how much I enjoyed it. Again, it's not like amazing, it's not in my top 10 of the year or anything, not even close, but it's just a surprisingly good, well-made film that somehow managed to make the best of the three, despite the fact that it kind of looked like the worst from the trailers. And the last film I'm going to talk about on this list is Dumb Money. This was another one of the films alongside The Creator that I was really looking forward to this month. Dumb Money is just the sort of movie that I tend to enjoy, kind of this true story film about this kind of crazy thing that happened. And you know, this was a very, very recent one. This is only from 2021, and this is about, of course, the GameStop stock freeze. And I think that this was an interesting film. It's kind of this strangely enticing time capsule for the pandemic, which I found quite interesting. The film kind of takes place firmly in the middle of the pandemic, and you know, you've got all these characters wearing masks throughout it, and the music choices throughout are very of the time. So it kind of does create, like I say, this weird time capsule moment where it takes you back to what it was like in those days, which is you know, not something that I don't think any of us really want to return to, but it was fun to watch in the movie. And you know, it's a well-told, entertaining crowd pleaser about the short squeeze of GameStop, and you know, it's not one of those films that requires you to have in-depth knowledge about stocks or anything like that. Like, you can easily follow the movie without having any of that prior knowledge. But it's just kind of this funny, crazy story, and the fact that obviously things like this happen in the real world. We see how these Wall Street guys and stuff just always manage to screw over the little guy, even when they get a little bit of success, and this movie kind of tells that story, and I think that it's very well directed. You know, Craig Giuseppe did a great job here. We know he's good. You know, I, Tonya is a very memorable film, and this is probably his best film since I, Tonya. The performances are good. You know, Paul Dano does a good job. Pete Davidson, I think, works really well in this movie for what they need him for. I think the whole cast does really, really well. So yeah, Dumb Money, it's a good movie, it's entertaining. It's not reinventing the wheel or anything, but if you're into these sorts of movies, I would definitely give it a watch. Just because it's pretty entertaining, it's pretty well made, and I think you will enjoy it. So that's everything I watched in the month of September. Like I say, I have done a full review of The Creator as well, which was another film I saw this month. So if you want to see my full thoughts on The Creator, then please go check out that video. And if you like this new format of me kind of doing these wrap-up reviews at the end of the month, please give this video a like, let me know in the comments below, and I'll definitely keep doing them. But also, if you want to see more movie reviews and more movie content like this, make sure you subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss any uploads from me, and I hope to see you guys again next time.